Hi, and welcome to the X22 Report Spotlight. Today we have a returning guest, Kim Bright. Kim is the founder of Brightcore, who's been helping Americans get healthy for nearly 50 years. And I am very happy and honored to have Kim back on the X22 Report Spotlight. Kim, welcome back to the Spotlight.
Oh, thanks so much, Dave. It's fun to be back.
Yeah, thank you for coming back. And we could see there's a lot changing in the health industry. I mean, RFK Jr. is changing a lot. He's looking at food coloring. He's looking at the food industry. He's looking at, I guess, the medication that's been already approved and now people are using it. And they're looking at all of this. And what's very interesting about this is that RFK Jr. and President Trump, they pretty much detached us from the WHO. And that doesn't mean that there aren't other states that are still working with the WHO, because I think California is working with the WHO. I think Virginia wants to work with the WHO now. So what's very interesting is that the WHO, they keep telling us, oh, they're planning for the next, I call it a pandemic, but pandemic. They're planning for the next pandemic. And, they have to develop these vaccines. And I guess all the countries around them that are still connected to them, they're all planning for this. And what are they developing? What are they planning for? I mean, what do you see happening?
Well, yes, the WHO, the World Health Organization, they want to develop vaccines for the next pandemic, which, if you think about it, doesn't even make sense because you can't make a vaccine for something that doesn't even exist yet. And the chief of the World Health Organization, Tedros, says we need to begin preemptively preparing for the next pandemic by developing vaccines and taking other measures in advance. I mean, one of the most suspicious steps is the idea of having to build trust. Tedros essentially pushed out this message that trust has to be built quietly, steadily, years in advance. And if people already believe in the institutions, the experts in the system, then when the crisis comes, compliance follows. But if that trust isn't there beforehand, you can't manufacture it in the middle of the chaos. So, in order to get people to take the next vaccine, the groundwork must be laid out before the emergency is declared. I mean, they're pushing vaccines on us now, Dave, with a promise to cure everything from cancer to peanut allergies. And people are not going to believe in another pandemic if they go about it the same way they did with COVID, like another virus. So they're inventing other excuses to get us to get more vaccines. And I think the one that you're going to start hearing about more and more are the antimicrobial resistant infections.
What are those? I mean,
Well,
I've heard about it. If you could just explain, like, I guess, a brief and simplistic way of what they are, I think that would help everyone.
sure. They're known as AMRs, the antimicrobial resistance. It's supposedly going to be the next pandemic. They're claiming there are going to be tens or even hundreds of millions of deaths over the next couple of decades. And I want to tell you just how much they're pushing this new agenda by reading you some of the articles that have come out in just the past week.
Okay.
This one is directly from the WHO, from the World Health Organization. The next pandemic is already here. Antimicrobial resistance is upending a century of achievements in global health. Hospital sewage fueling antibiotic resistant bacteria. Bacteria frozen inside 5,000-year-old ice cave is crazy resistant to antibiotics. Superbug warning, as doctors fear common infections could kill more people than cancer. And low risk antibiotic has led to an almost untreatable superbug.
And you know what's very interesting is that with antibiotics and things like that, I think the doctors today use it for pretty much everything. I'll give you an example. You go in and you have a cold or something, they just give you an antibiotic. I mean, they don't even know if it's going to work for the cold or for whatever you have. They just give it to you, and I think they're just hoping that it does work. But most of the time, it doesn't. It doesn't really do anything. You might feel like it is, but it really isn't. And I had a couple of friends that actually came down with a little bit of a, I guess, cold or flu or something like that, and they went right on, antibiotics, and it really didn't do anything for them.
Well, if you look at this level of exposure they're trying to get us to look at, it's out of nowhere. I mean,
Mhm.
they must have an ulterior motive here. They just want an excuse to inject us with this new vaccine, which makes me doubt the hyperbolic claims around this health crisis. And I'm not saying it never happens, but how many of you out there actually know someone who died from antimicrobial resistance? I have a feeling they're blowing this health crisis out of proportion. The antimicrobial resistance is a real thing, but it's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the damage being done by antibiotics. And antibiotics do a lot of damage. I mean, they were introduced, Dave, to get back to what you were
Hmm.
talking about, in the 1940s and quickly became miracle drugs. They saved millions of lives, but their success led to widespread and often unnecessary use in human medicine. I mean, for viral infections, improper dosing, patient noncompliance, in hospitals, routine prophylactic use, and heavily in agriculture, they were used to promote animal growth and prevent disease in crowded conditions. Now, bacteria will evolve rapidly, and the more antibiotics that they're exposed to, the more opportunities they have to develop resistance. And by the 1960s, resistant strains were already emerging, and over decades, this has accelerated. And at the same time, pharmaceutical incentives shifted.
Hmm.
Antibiotics, well, they're typically short course treatments, and they're intentionally used sparingly to slow resistance, which makes them, guess what, less profitable than the long term drugs for chronic conditions. And as a result, many large pharmaceutical companies they reduced or abandoned antibiotic research and development in favor of more profitable drug ventures. And vaccines are far more profitable than traditional antibiotics. And the pharmaceutical companies often earn more from vaccines as well and long term medications because they can create steady, predictable revenue, especially with reoccurring doses, booster schedules, or drugs taken daily for chronic conditions. Now, traditional antibiotics, by contrast, are usually taken for a short course and then stopped, which makes them less financially attractive. And antibiotics have been a great tool for opening doors for repeat, more profitable forms of treatment. Remember, big pharma is about making money. It's about the bottom line. A cured patient is no longer a customer. They want to keep us sick so they can keep making money off of us.
No, I agree with that. I mean, when you really look at like cancer treatments, when you look at any other type of disease or anything like that, it's not to cure it, but it's to mask it and make it seem like you're better by removing maybe some of the symptoms, making you feel a little bit better. But they never actually go to the source of the problem. They never cure the problem. Because again, like you said, that's where the money is. And I feel like RFK Jr. and Bhattacharya, who's the acting CDC now, and others within his organization, I feel like they're starting to shift everything now, shift it away from big pharma. I mean, of course, big pharma doesn't like this, but I feel like they're shifting it away slowly but surely, educating the population of that there's better ways to handle some of these sicknesses.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, they're shining the light on what's been the dark areas, right?
Yeah.
So, the vaccinologists, they're saying they want to solve the problem of AMR with a yet another mRNA vaccine. We
Yeah.
don't want another mRNA vaccine. We all know those are bad for us. What a lot of us don't know is just how bad antibiotics are.
How bad are they?
Well, if you look at it, prescription medications are the third leading cause of death after heart disease and cancer. And guess what's at the top of the list? Antibiotics. Now,
Really?
yes. Now
Wow.
let me read you just a few of the endless amount of study titles that measure the damage of antibiotics. Okay, antibiotic therapy is associated with an increased incidence of cancer. Antibiotic use associated with a multitude of chronic diseases. Higher antibiotic exposure linked to increased risk of Parkinson's disease. Antibiotic exposure linked to increased colon cancer risk. Antibiotic use and risks of cancer specific mortality. Antibiotics can cause harm to flu patients. Antibiotics in childhood have been linked to an increased risk of mental illness. Antibiotics after breast cancer linked to lower survival rates. Antibiotics in older women may increase heart disease risk, and antibiotic use linked to greater risk of heart disease and stroke. Amazing, huh? I mean, and again, these are just a few of the studies. The list goes on and on. In just a moment, I'm going to tell you what each and every one of these studies have in common. They all boil down to the same exact explanation of why these pharmaceuticals are causing so much damage to our health. But first, I want to tell you and the listeners, Dave, a story because it's relevant to this particular topic.
Okay.
Okay, let me start with a person who on paper sounds almost unreal. Maria Branias Morea was born in 1907 when horses still shared the streets with cars. She lived through two world wars, the Spanish Civil War, the moon landing, and the rise of the internet. And when she passed away in August 2024 at 117 years old, she
Wow.
was the oldest verified living person in the world. But what makes Maria special isn't just the number 117, it's how fully she lived. So, as a child, she crossed the Atlantic during wartime. And on that journey, she lost her hearing in one ear after a fall. Then she lost her father to tuberculosis, and she arrived in Catalonia carrying grief most adults struggle to bear. Now, later, she marries a doctor. She raises three children and works as a nurse during the Spanish Civil War. So you can see her life wasn't sheltered or easy. It was marked by loss, stress, and history unfolding in real time. And yet, she remained deeply human. She loved music. She played the piano until she was 108. She sewed, she read, she adapted to new technology and used voice to text to communicate despite her hearing loss. She moved into a nursing home at age 93 and stayed engaged with the world for as long as she could. She didn't resist change. She actually moved with it. And after her death, the researchers studied something remarkable, her gut microbiome. For a woman of 117, it looked unusually youthful. It was diverse and rich in bacteria, often associated with resilience. Now, her habits weren't extreme or exotic. She did follow a simple, healthy way of eating, and she regularly consumed fermented foods. Nothing magical here, just simple patterns repeated over decades. And Maria is only one person. And of course, she doesn't prove the secret to living longer. But after the discovery of her unique microbiome, other researchers looked at other people who lived to be over 100 and found the same unique properties of their gut ecosystems. They were more balanced and they had greater microbial diversity, which helps support immune balance, metabolic health, and even brain function. Now, in other words, the gut microbiome isn't just one system. It's like a reflection of how your whole internal environment is functioning and how well you're adapting over time. And that's why I think Maria's story hits so hard. Her life wasn't a controlled experiment, it was a century of real human experience. And yet her gut microbiome still looked unusually youthful. It was diverse, resilient, and packed with bacteria that we associate with healthier aging. So, when you ask what should we pay attention to as we get older, Maria and the Centenarian research together offer a compelling answer. Don't just track the surface level symptoms of aging, track and protect the ecosystem underneath them all. Because if your gut ecosystem stays diverse and functional, you're not just improving your digestion, you are supporting the very systems that determine whether you stay strong, clear-minded, emotionally steady, and physically resilient as the years pile up on you. And that's the real takeaway that I want you to remember. Longevity isn't only about adding years, it's about keeping your quality of life while you add them.
And that's very interesting because I don't know if you noticed this, but RFK Jr., he's shifting from medicines and big pharma and continually mentioning food. And I mean, if you look at the food today, and this is what I do, I stay on the outside of the supermarket because the inside is really the box, the cans, and things like that. But you stay on the
Yeah.
outside, it's more natural. And if you notice, RFK Jr. and his team, they're continually pushing healthier foods every step of the way, saying, if you want to be healthier, it's not just exercise, but you have to eat the right foods. You have to take care of yourself in that way. And I think for a very, very long time, the food industry, and let's not leave them out of this because the food industry is also guilty of adding
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of the chemicals. I think there was just the other day, I saw something where the food industry, well, actually, the government allowed them to approve what is food and what is not food in your food. So, of course, you know what they're going to do. They're going to create chemicals and say they're food. And that's exactly what they did. So, I feel like he's shifting us away from medicines that mask the problem and shifting us to foods that actually help us so we don't get sick. So we cure or help our bodies before we get sick. So we don't have to take the antibiotics. We don't have to take the vaccines. We don't have to do all these things. And I notice this shift right now. And I don't know if other people have seen this, but if you listen to him talk, and he's been in like Fox News and other stations. I don't know about CNN, but Fox News. He's been talking about this quite often. So I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if you saw this or
Oh yeah, I watch, as much as I can to stay informed, but I'm so happy that he is there and he has the guts and
yeah,
the knowledge to go forth and tell the truth and shine the light on all this, on all the lies that have been perpetrated on us over the last 40, 50, even longer years. So he's very brave. I thank God every day for RFK Jr. And, I wanted to tell everybody the story about Maria before going into what all the antibiotic studies have in common. And so I know he's talked out against the antibiotics as well
yeah,
and explained, what they actually do. They damage our gut microbiome and give us dysbiosis because our gut is made up of microbes, good and bad, from the day we're born. And this collection of microbes collectively make up our gut microbiome. So when you take antibiotics, what you do, because antibiotics means against life, you're killing off all of the microbes and creating a state of dysbiosis in your gut. And dysbiosis is the cause of every health issue, and microbial diversity decreases, of course, as we age. So, regardless of antibiotic use or other influences, you're going to get dysbiosis as you age. So, the presence of the good bacteria is what helps prevent harmful microbes from taking over our gut. And the best way to prevent and treat dysbiosis and the multitude of accompanying health consequences is to consume kimchi because it's the only fermented food that contains over 900 unique strains of beneficial bacteria. So, kimchi actually helps your body fight off viruses like flu. This is a centuries old food, people. And one recent study found that kimchi can slow down the growth of H1N1 flu virus. A big reason for this is that it's how it supports our immune system because 70 to 80% of our immunity is housed in our gut. So think of kimchi, this wonderful centuries old fermented food, as helping your immune system stay balanced. It strengthens the important immune cells that act like scouts, if you will. They spot those viruses early. And at the same time, it helps regulate your body's response so it doesn't overreact. That matters. That balance matters because in some serious infections, it's not just the virus that causes the damage, it's the body going into overdrive with too much inflammation. And, during the early days of COVID-19, Dave, South
mm,
Korea had much lower death rates compared to every other country. And some researchers pointed out that Korea's high daily intake, sometimes multiple times a day, of kimchi may have played a role. And kimchi's packed with bioactive compounds and probiotics that may make it harder for viruses to enter human cells. And the same thing was noticed during the 2003 SARS outbreak when South Korea reported zero deaths. And again, researchers looked at kimchi's antiviral and probiotic properties as a possible factor. And on top of that, certain beneficial bacteria that are found in kimchi, like Lactobacillus plantarum, have shown direct antiviral effects in lab studies. And they've been seen to slow viral replication and improve survival rates in influenza research. So, in short, kimchi gives your immune system an edge when it comes to fighting off respiratory viruses. We're talking about real food here, real fermented food, and what it can do.
What I find is that of course, big pharma, they've been trying to keep these type of foods. And the last time you were on, I mentioned turmeric, and there's many others. I mean, we can go down the whole list here, but there's
Mhm.
many foods that they try to keep us from because they wanted to keep us on their medication. So they would tell you, oh, don't take this or don't eat that because it's not good for you or this will cause problems. And they always make these things up. And I think they did it on purpose. And I think this is what RFK is trying to tell us is that all the things that they've told us is kind of backwards. And this is what you should be taking to be healthy, not wait until you get sick and then take a drug from them. And then usually when you take their drugs, you have to take another drug for the side effects of the first drug. And it goes on and on and
Mhm.
on. So,
Yeah, it's a downward spiral. And Dave,
yes,
it's intentional and it's
yes,
called the bottom line.
yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Just going to say that kimchi has such powerful antifungal properties due to it being rich in beneficial bacteria like Lactobacillus plantarum and Lactobacillus sakei. As kimchi ferments, these bacteria produce such natural compounds that make it really hard for molds and yeast to grow in us. And in lab studies, certain strains found in kimchi have reduced the growth of harmful molds like Aspergillus by up to 97%. This is astounding. I mean, they basically create an acidic, unfriendly environment that the fungi don't like. And kimchi's probiotics have actually shown activity against candida. And that is a very common yeast that can overgrow, especially after taking antibiotics or being in the hospital. Now, if antibiotics have wiped out some of your good bacteria, fermented foods like kimchi can help rebuild that protective layer. And it doesn't stop there. Kimchi's ability to also help defend against parasites. The ingredients in kimchi, like garlic and ginger, contain natural compounds like allicin that can directly target certain parasites. And the fiber in kimchi helps keep things moving in your gut, almost like a broom sweeping things out. And the probiotics compete with harmful organisms for space and nutrients, and it makes it harder for them to stick around. It takes away their environment. But then there's bacteria, and during fermentation, the good bacteria in kimchi produce natural acids that create an environment harmful to bad bacteria like E. coli and Salmonella. They also release special antimicrobial compounds that can even target tougher drug resistant strains. And on top of that, if you eat kimchi regularly, it appears to strengthen your immune system.
Hmm.
And studies have shown that it can boost important immune cells that help your body recognize and respond to infections. Now, in cases like H. pylori, that's a bacteria that's linked to stomach issues, consistent kimchi intake has been shown to reduce inflammation and, in some cases, help clear the infection. So, what I'm talking about here in simple terms is kimchi helps your body crowd out the fungi, bacteria, and even parasites, takes away their environment, their swamp, while it strengthens your natural defenses at the same time. And everything that we mentioned about the harmful effects of antibiotics can be prevented or alleviated with the right bacterial strains, fortifying the primary cornerstone of your overall health. And that is your gut microbiome.
No, I agree with that. And it's very interesting because, I mean, if you look at the industry, they kept saying, take vitamins, where because the food they were offering us didn't have the vitamins. I mean, kimchi has vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin B, even zinc. So the foods that they were giving us, and I know this from my personal experience, is that the processed foods, they lower your immune system and you have to supplement with vitamins. And the people that don't supplement with vitamins, I notice, and actually it happened to me, I noticed I got sicker when I was eating processed foods. I noticed I didn't get sick when I was eating, healthy foods like kimchi, and I was taking turmeric. I was taking many other types of foods that were not processed. And it really helps your immune system. It helps almost everything, actually. And I noticed a very, very big difference in that. I think this is why they been trying to keep us away from all of this because, again, if you're healthy, they make no money. So, so this is
Yes,
a good
right.
thing that we're finding all this out, and RFK Jr. is shifting us to look at foods more closely.
Yeah, and when you eat ultra processed foods that are dead, that don't have life-giving things in them, the vitamins, the enzymes, things like this, when you take and you put those ultra processed foods in your body, you are
Mhm.
feeding the swamp. You
Yeah.
are feeding the environment that parasites and yeasts and molds and fungus love to grow in. So you're killing yourself by making those choices because you're killing off the good guys and you're feeding the bad guys. But, probiotic supplements, I want to say, that people take, they're a one-note solution, if you will. Whereas kimchi provides a complex microbial symphony that's wrapped in protective fiber delivery systems that ensure the good guys actually arrive alive. And, kimchi is not just a probiotic delivery system, the way that many supplements try to be. It's more like a full ecosystem package, if you will. Along with the live microbes, it naturally brings prebiotics. Those are the plant fibers that are found in the cabbage and the garlic and the onions that are in kimchi. Those feed the beneficial bacteria. And then the postbiotics, the helpful compound bacteria produced during fermentation, like organic acids and bioactive metabolites. That combination, Dave, matters because probiotics often struggle to colonize or even survive if the gut environment isn't supportive. And nobody's eating enough fiber. And
Mm.
kimchi helps create that supportive environment, and it delivers ready-made microbial byproducts that can interact with the gut lining and the immune system right away. And in practice, what does that mean? That means kimchi offers more reliable multi-pathway benefits than a typical probiotic pill. And, while billions of CFUs make for great marketing, focusing solely on the quantity of bacteria is like judging the military strength by the number of soldiers while ignoring their specialized training. And in the complex landscape of the human gut, microbial diversity is far more accurate predictor of health than the raw CFU counts. And a high CFU count is just a number, but high diversity is a strategy. A resilient gut isn't built by a massive population of identical strains. That's what CFU is, but by a varied community that can adapt, defend, and perform a wide array of metabolic tasks. And that's why you see such a multitude of kimchi studies that solve the problems that dysbiosis creates and not studies about any other fermented foods.
So why did you create kimchi? Like, what was your driving factor?
Driving factor was people, it's hard to eat kimchi every single day. But the other thing is, let me read you a
Mhm.
few of the many things that kimchi is so exciting, why it's so exciting. Um, Kimchi is linked to enhanced immune function, improve gut health, better metabolic markers, and that includes blood sugar, cholesterol, and blood pressure. Uh, Chemopreventative potential of kimchi, an ethnic food from Korea against colorectal carcinogenesis. Fermented kimchi reduces body weight and improves metabolic parameters in overweight and obese patients. Kimchi shown to improve irritable bowel syndrome. And a study shows that eating kimchi every day for 12 weeks can do far more than improve gut health. It can train your immune system to fight smarter. And then new clinical study confirms the anti-obesity effects of kimchi and cancer preventative potential of kimchi lactic acid bacteria. Bioactive compounds in kimchi improve the cognitive and memory functions impaired by amyloid beta. That's the key marker of Alzheimer's disease, Dave.
Mm.
And then fermented kimchi consumption significantly improves metabolic health by reducing blood triglyceride levels by up to 33%, along with lowering blood pressure, total cholesterol, and fasting glucose. And the kimchi diet reduces body fat by 31.8% in preclinical study. And the last one, anti-aging effects and mechanisms of kimchi It actually slowed the aging of human cells. Now, all these things, well, now you can see why we made kimchi one.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely incredible. And at this point, I think America and probably the world very soon, they're going to be looking at all different foods. I think the whole industry is about to change. I think we're seeing this incredible shift in health.
Yes, I think you're totally right. I mean, we're seeing shifts on all levels of our
Yes,
existence. We're seeing spiritual shifts. We're
yes.
seeing the shift in what we eat, which is going to affect our mental health. I mean, I'm excited about this. And the thing that I do want to say, though,
Mhm.
Dave, is whether you like the taste of kimchi or not, because there's a lot of people that love kimchi and will eat it every day. But whether you like the taste of kimchi or not, it's not something that is easy to eat every day for most people. But now it is because we've created these convenient capsules made for your daily use. And we use a cold process drying method to retain all of the live probiotics, the enzymes, and the fiber of fresh kimchi. For instance, if you use freeze drying kills and takes out all the fiber.
Hmm.
So you don't have that. So we use a special cold processing method that retains those prebiotics. And for people that are on sodium restricted diets and need to have low sodium, this has virtually no sodium in it in our kimchi one capsules, unlike your store bought or your homemade. And we make it 100% here in the USA, non-GMO and all natural.
It's also low calorie, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I
I
know
mean,
people are gonna
eating
be
kimchi every day, you'll lose 31.8% body weight,
yeah.
body fat. So yes, it is. And Dave, we've got so many people that write us or
Mhm.
that call us because their lives have changed so dramatically. And in not a long period of time when they are taking kimchi one capsules every day, people that had gas and bloating, all these digestive problems and their regularity, they're gone now. They're normalized. And people who had problems with their immune system and they used to get sick all the time. Any little thing, they got sick. Now they're not getting sick anymore. People who couldn't lose their weight, no matter what they did, are finally seeing a reduction in their waistlines. And people who were suffering from a variety of symptoms and couldn't identify the cause, especially after 2020, we know what happened then,
Mhm.
those people are finally feeling better.
That's great. I mean, for those people that want to get kimchi and start using it, do you have any special offers that you can offer the people that are listening to this?
Yes, of course. We want to see people get healthy in a very easy way here. Go to brightcore.com /X22, use the code X22 and get 25% off your order of kimchi one today. Or you can get up to 50% off with your order plus free shipping when you call 888-959-5248. And, Dave, I started this company 29 years ago. We're a small family business, and we like it when you call. We actually like to talk to people so we can make sure this product's right for you. So we even going to incentivize that even further by saying the first 100 callers are going to get a free bottle of our Thrive with their order. And you mentioned, turmeric earlier.
Mhm.
Well, Thrive is a curcumin turmeric complex, and we combine it with the ginger and black pepper extract that combats inflammation, boosts brain function, and even promotes liver health. So remember, you can only get the best discounts in that free bottle of Thrive when you call, plus that free shipping. So call now, 888-959-5248, and get that gut microbiome in balance.
Kim, thank you very much. I'll put all the links at the bottom of the video and the phone number. So if people want to go over to the site or call, it'll be very easy to do so. Thank you for your wealth of knowledge and informing the people. I really appreciate it. And thank you for coming on the X22 Report Spotlight.
Thank you, Dave, for what you do. Thanks for being there, and have a blessed day.
You too. Thank you.